Good afternoon, guys. I am Nidhi Pagalwadi, your science teacher, Sankalp Learning Solutions. In the last class, we discussed regarding heredity, the concepts of heredity, and the work of Gregor Mendel. So today we are going to discuss regarding the one more chapter which is not included in life process. While discussing life process, I just gave a certain brief idea about it. So here in the life processes, we got the topics like digestion, transportation, excretion, I'm sorry. And here the reproduction part is not included in the life process because it is not a necessary process. It is a necessary process, not a compulsory process. For a person or for an organism to stay alive, reproduction is not compulsory. Means without reproduction, it is not the case that a person or an organism cannot live. An organism can live without reproduction. So it is not considered as a life process, but it is a necessary process. Today we are going to discuss regarding the new concept of reproduction. How do organisms reproduce? In this lesson, we are going to study in detail regarding the reproduction in plants as well as reproduction in human beings. As it is a bio concept and as it is a why this concept is given to you all to understand you all for a better way. Okay, it is not like while learning this, while writing this, or while any other teacher is discussing regarding this topic, don't feel shy. It is the common topic which we have to be known certain science concept as a biologist or as a science student. Okay, fine. So let us begin with the new concept of reproduction. I think the screen is visible for you all. So the first one here is the meaning of reproduction. So what is the reproduction? It is the process by which living organism produce new individual. It produces a new individual which is like it only. It will not produce any other different individual of its own race, of the same species, Homo sapiens. We are the species, Homo sapiens. We will reproduce Homo sapiens only, like that. Okay. Reproduction is necessary for the continuity of the race. It is not that without reproduction, an organism will die. For continue the race, reproduction is necessary. Then, do organisms create carbon copies of themselves? So we know that we have a DNA, that is deoxyribonucleic acid in our chromosome, which is present in the nucleus. And it is only responsible for the transmission of character, or we can say the heredity from parents to offsprings, because it has genes in it, right? So here during the reproduction, as you can see, transfer the character from the parents to offspring. During reproduction, the reproductive cell produce two copies of the DNA, which separate into two cells. Two copies will be produced and they separate into two cells. The DNA copies will be similar but not identical to each other. So whatever the DNA copies will be formed, it will be similar to look but not exactly the same, sorry, or identical, we can say. So whatever the new individual will be formed, it is not exactly like a carbon copy of a parent. You can see certain variations, certain differences in them. So those differences which are present in the offsprings, which are not there in the parents, are called as variations. Okay. So here importance of variation means what? The variation is necessary because our environment is different. The environment which my baby is born, it is different. The environment when my mother was born, it is different. To adjust to the changing environment, variations are necessary in an organism, we can say. Next, the importance of variation, very very important point and very very important question for the exam point of view. So DNA copying during reproduction is important for maintaining body design of different organisms, but the environment will be constantly changing. As I said, environment will be constantly changing. There might be change in a climate, water level, etc. So the organism has to adjust according to the environment. So that is why variations are necessary. If there are variations in some individual of a species, they may be able to survive the changes in a environment. So variation in species is necessary to change, to adapt to the changed environment by the offsprings, we can say. Next. Okay. Next, we have types of reproduction. Types of reproduction. We basically two types of reproduction are there: asexual reproduction, and sexual reproduction. So here, asexual reproduction. Okay. So here, asexual reproduction means what? It is a reproduction in which new organism is formed, but from a single parent. There are no parents like male or females here, or father or mother over here. So here what happens? The individual is formed or is reproduced by a single parent. It is called as sexual reproduction. Next we have Next we have sexual reproduction. So this is a reproduction where two individuals are involved, two organisms are involved to produce a new individual. So here we can see the male and the female. Male donates the sperm, female donates the ova. Fusion of the gametes gives rise to the offsprings. So here fusion of gametes occurs in case of sexual reproduction, whereas in asexual reproduction we cannot see the fusion of gametes will not occur. So we have different examples for asexual reproduction, or different types we can say. So the most important types are fission, budding, regeneration, spore formation, and vegetative propagation. First, we will study regarding the asexual reproduction. Next, we will move on to the sexual reproduction. Fine. So, just a minute. Okay. So, asexual reproduction, the first type is fission. Fission means what here? Division. Okay. So, here fission means what? It is a division. Okay, division. So, here what happens? Fission in an asexual reproduction by which a unicellular, it is, we can see this in a unicellular organism, where an unicellular organism divides and forms two or more individuals, Okay. So here by, just a minute. Okay. So in fission, we have two types: binary fission and the multiple fission. So as I said, in unicellular organism, we have to study the binary fission in amoeba. So amoeba is a unicellular organism, we know, where it does not have definite shape for its cell. So here what happens in this method, in the fission method, one organism will give two cells or two organs. Sorry. So binary here, bi refers to two. So when amoeba divides and give two daughter nuclei or two daughter cells, then it is called binary fission. So in this method, as you can see the step here in the first method, just a minute, yeah. In the first method, the amoeba is there. And here in the second step, you can see the nucleus is getting enlarged and it is getting divided. And in third, you can see the division of nucleus into two, and the cell membrane or the plasma membrane will also coming close to one another at one end or at one side. And here you can see the formation of two cells, here two cells, and here completely two cells are formed by one amoeba. So one amoeba gives rise or produces two amoebae, so which is called as binary fission. The next one is multiple fission. So here what happens? One organism divides into many daughter cells. For example, Plasmodium. So Plasmodium vivox is an organism which causes malaria. So you might have heard the mosquito causes malaria. Mosquito will not cause malaria. Mosquito will be carrying this Plasmodium vivox when that mosquito bits you. Okay, so that Plasmodium vivox will be transferred into our body, causing malaria. So this will multiply using multiple fission. Means one cell will be divided into many cells in the what we can say in unfavorable condition. what happens? They divide into many cells and it will be in a bag-like structure. Once the favorable condition is attained, all the cells are released into an environment. So from one cell, we got several cells, many. So this is called as multiple fission. So in asexual reproduction, we learned first method, which is fission. In that we have two types, binary fission, where one organism gives rise to or reproduce two, we can say, offsprings. Multiple, in this method, one organism reproduce many new organisms or many individual. The example is Plasmodium vivox, which causes malaria. So this is regarding the fission. Next, we have the budding. It is also a method of asexual reproduction. So here what happens? A bud-like projection is formed from the parent body. Here you can see this is a hydra. Okay, this is a organism named hydra. Okay, it is a Coelenterata. We learned it in 9th standard. So in the hydra, what happens? A small outgrowth will appear. This outgrowth from the body of itself is called as bud. So this bud grows and then it will develop certain tentacles on it. In a meantime, in a certain time, what happens? The bud detaches, means get separated from this parent hydra and live on its own. So here what happens? Bud which was attached to the parent hydra, once it is completely grown and developed, it detaches from the parent hydra and live the life by its own. So this is regarding the budding in hydra. Next we have budding in yeast. Yeast, we know that it is an example of fungi. Yeast is a unicellular fungi, we can call. Unicellular means one-celled fungi. So in yeast, what happens? The cell membrane and the cell wall protrudes, means extends out. In the same way, the nucleus also extends itself. So after some time, the what we can say, furrows are formed, or we can say cell constriction occur, where one cell is divided into two cells. Okay, like that again, budding occurs. So the chain of buds occurs in the yeast, which is called as budding. So budding we can see in hydra as well as in the yeast. Okay, next asexual reproduction is regeneration. So in this method, part of a body, if any part of the body of an organism is broken, or it is lost due to some injury, or it is not, it can develop into a new individual. For example, so this is a planaria, right? So planaria, when it got cut, so it is divided into three parts. It got cut into three parts. So these three parts will get converted into new individual. So this is called as regeneration. See here, the head region has been cut. The head region is completely converted into new planaria. The trunk region has been cut. Again, this region is completely developed into other planaria. The tail region has been cut. Again, this region is directly developed into a other planaria. So this is called as regeneration. Regeneration we can also see in hydra. Okay, next one is fragmentation. So fragmentation is also a asexual reproduction, which we can see in algae. So what is algae? So wherever you see a stagnant water, ninta neeru anta in ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. So below that you can see the green patches, which is called algae. In algae, we have a best example, which is a Spirogyra. So the speciality of Spirogyra is this will be microscopic. You can't see with your naked eye. The chloroplast in the Spirogyra will be ribbon shaped. It will be ribbon shaped. So that is the brief note on Spirogyra. So in fragmentation, a body of simple multicellular organism. This is a simple filamentous body. So the simple multicellular, many-celled organism breaks up into smaller pieces. So on maturation, what happens? On maturation, on getting all the nutrients, on getting all set for the favorable condition, each fragment will grow into a new individual. So here the pieces or the cuttings which we got due to the injury or something, what we can say, some accidents. So those fragments will develop into a new individual. So this is regarding the asexual reproduction. Then I think, yeah, the next one is spore formation. So I think you can see in the bread, on the bread, if you keep the bread in an open environment for several days, you can see certain fungus on it. Booze bandide anta ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. So that is nothing but that fungus is nothing but a rhizopus. So in rhizopus, what happens? In rhizopus, this is a diagram of a rhizopus, and the body of a rhizopus, it is nothing but, yeah. So in this method, structures called sporangia. Okay, what happens in the rhizopus give rise to the structures which are called as sporangia. Inside the sporangia, certain minute structures are present which are called spores. So these spores, when they come in contact with the moist surface, moist weather, so those spores will develop into a new individual. So these are the spores. These will develop into a new individual by germination. Okay. Next, we have vegetative propagation. So this vegetative propagation is nothing but it is a production of new plants using vegetative parts of a plant. For example, leaf, stem, root, etc. So from roots, we will get radish and carrot. From stem, we will get potato, ginger. From leaf, we will get bryophyllum, begonia, etc. So here plants produced by vegetative propagation produce flowers and fruits earlier than the reproducing plants or those produced using the seeds. It also helps in propagation of a plant which do not produce seeds like rose. So rose and banana, we do not get seeds. We have to wait for very longer period. So in that condition, what happened? The vegetative propagation of a plant, the vegetative propagation of plant, what happens, it is very useful for all the kind of mothers and all. Okay, vegetative propagation can also be done artificially by cutting, layering and grafting. So by cutting the plant, by layering the plant, by grafting the plant, we can adapt vegetative propagation. And rose will be grown by its stem. Hibiscus, or we can say in Kannada dasavala, it will be grown by a vegetative propagation. So like this, we have asexual reproduction and types of asexual reproduction. In the upcoming session, we are going to learn regarding the reproduction in human beings. Until that, take care. Have a nice day. Bye bye.